Tonight, heat warnings blanket Saskatchewan as people look for ways to stay cool. Legal experts weigh in on the province's lawsuit against the CRA over uncollected carbon tax dollars.
Are you ready for it?
A push to bring Taylor Swift back to Saskatchewan is gaining steam, and Swift Current is stepping up.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, July 9th, and welcome to the CBC Saskatchewan News. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Plaster. A blistering heat wave is moving across Western Canada, bringing record temperatures and the threat of wildfires. Dozens of heat warnings have also been issued. Aishwarya Dutta has the latest.
David Gay and his co-workers are feeling the heat as they walk 16 kilometers along the river on their day off.
Oh man, it's hot, it's draining. I don't love the heat. I'm much more of a wintertime person, but at the same time, summer's so short, so you have to try to get out and enjoy it as much as you can.
They're security guards and say these high temperatures would be almost unbearable if they were working in their body armor.
We wear like stab-proof vests while we're working, and yes, when it's hot out, it's way harder to wear those vests. It's stifling.
Environment Canada has issued heat warnings for large swaths of Western Canada, including much of Western and Northern Saskatchewan. Temperatures are above 30 degrees, putting people at risk of heat exhaustion or heat stroke, especially those without air conditioning or transport, like Daljit Kaur Sandhu.
And it's very difficult for me and I don't like it. And it's very difficult to work in the kitchen or, especially in the food court. It's too hot in working in kitchen all stations. Sometimes we don't have cooling.
Saskatoon has activated its extreme heat response plan with cooling stations, wellness checks, water distribution, and other outreach services. But some are welcoming the first big heat wave of the summer.
Well, we're loving the hot weather because we're on holidays and we get to be in this beautiful park eating ice cream. So we're loving it.
I like the heat, and Mom lets me have more ice cream than usual in the heat, so.
Like maybe we're having ice cream for breakfast right now.
This group of co-workers is having a picnic in the shade. They say it's been a wild spring and summer, weather-wise.
I would just say the unpredictableness. So like one day you have to wear like a winter jacket and, a raincoat at the same time, and then you're sweating.
Temperatures are expected to climb even higher by Thursday, increasing the risk of wildfires and health problems.
We are swimming, wearing hats, sunscreen, and lots of ice cream.
Drinking lots of water. Hydration is key.
A good old air conditioning is always a win.
Emergency officials say people should check on their loved ones, especially those without air conditioning. Aishwarya Dutta, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan government says it will continue to push back against a federal carbon tax. It wants to stop the CRA from dipping into the provincial bank account. But some say it's an uphill court battle. Alexander Kwan reports.
Whether Saskatchewan can prevail in any of this, I think, is going to be an uphill battle for them.
The carbon tax issue is back in federal court. Saskatchewan is doubling down on its argument that it's unconstitutional. It made the same case at the Supreme Court in 2021, but it was unsuccessful. Now Saskatchewan insists circumstances have changed. According to court filings, Saskatchewan believes an exemption to home heating oil undermines the federal legislation. That's why the province has stopped collecting and remitting the carbon tax on natural gas used to heat homes. The province wants to stop the CRA from seizing more than $28 million that Ottawa believes it's owed. The papers also show that number is actually more than $56 million. Saskatchewan also argued that it should not have to pay taxes to the federal government because one level of government can't tax another. That could be an extra challenge for the court to grapple with, according to legal experts.
If there's no federal law that can ever extract a tax or penalty from a provincial government, then it's really going to render ineffective a number of regulatory statutes from the federal parliament, including over environmental matters.
On Monday, a judge granted an injunction stopping the CRA from garnishing the money for now.
Certainly, we're optimistic and confident in our case and in the legal arguments behind the case that we will put forward.
Legal experts say the length of this case is likely to be measured in months or years, and it won't be easy.
It's, I think, a case that's being put forward with genuine constitutional arguments. But the next, having a genuine constitutional argument doesn't mean winning.
The argument is certainly an ambitious one. To succeed, it would have to make new law. And so in all of these cases, if you're betting, you'd always bet on the status quo that Saskatchewan here is going to lose.
Experts also agree the court may not have the appetite to address a question it settled just a few years ago. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
The week-long rollout of provincial Crown annual reports continued today with Sask Energy and Sask Power. Now, Sask Power has recorded a net income of more than $180 million. That's up from a loss of over $170 million last year. It says most of that profit has been a result of two revenue streams, an 8% increase in customer bills and an increase in demand.
This is going to be an interesting number of years for the province and for Sask Power in terms of the amount of capital investment that Sask Power is going to need to invest into ensuring that we can provide safe, reliable power to the citizens of Saskatchewan and to a growing economy here in the province.
Now, Sask Energy's net income has decreased from $126 million to $55 million, which is in line with what it was expecting. Duncan also says the federal government's 2030 net zero targets for emissions are unrealistic and that the province is aiming to achieve those goals by 2050. Regina's first urgent care centre has been busy since it opened a week ago. Almost 600 people have already been treated at the facility. The urgent care centre is another option in Regina for people needing non-life-threatening health care, such as fevers, suspected broken bones, stitches, or other issues that might require an X-ray. It also provides mental health and addiction support services. It's hoped the new centre will take some pressure off our local ER departments.
On the first day of operations, we had 108 people come on July 2nd. 42 of those patients did require an X-ray, so one could assume that many of those patients would have been seeking care in an alternate location, such as an emergency department. So we do believe that as we continue to monitor this over time, that we do hope to see a reduction in some of the presentations to the emergency departments, both at the General and the Pasco Hospital.
There are also about 130 full-time or equivalent staffers working at the centre. Recruiting doctors and other positions is still ongoing, but we're told they are making good progress. It's hoped the centre will be fully staffed and open 24 hours a day this fall. The future of Regina's downtown central library is a little clearer thanks to a special city council meeting today. The Central Branch was just one of the infrastructure projects the city was discussing. It wants to potentially renovate the current library or possibly build a new one. A lot of details about the project are still up in the air, including where a new library could be built.
We want to keep all of those options open, but the only way we can do that is to invite the developers, those folks that would build a new library, to come forward with their ideas. And to do that, we need a commitment, a financial commitment from City Council.
In a 4-3 vote, Council approved a plan to create as much as $119 million in debt financing for the project. It also plans to raise the annual mill rate every year for 5 years to help finance the library. For decades, the federal government ran a program that encouraged the removal of First Nations children from their homes and families. Now the Assembly of First Nations says it's received an offer from Ottawa to reform the welfare system for good. Here's Olivia Stefanovic with more.
The new national chief arrived at her first National Assembly, ready to show the work she's doing to reform the First Nations child welfare system.
It's been a busy few weeks, and yesterday we received a draft offer from the Government of Canada on this issue.
That offer shrouded in secrecy. Cindy Woodhouse-Niebenak says she's received a dollar figure, but can't reveal what it is.
And while this offer is under settlement privilege, I can tell you today it's a very significant offer.
The federal government previously committed more than $40 billion for First Nations child welfare, over $20 billion to compensate First Nations children and families, and the other $20 billion to reform the system long term.
Canada has a duty to consult with First Nations about their children. It ought to be disclosing all this stuff.
First Nations child advocate Cindy Blackstock has done her own calculations. She says the government will need to spend more than $50 billion over the decade just to make sure First Nations child and family services are funded at the level of non-First Nations services.
If this is a deal where there is not enough money again to be able to stop this discrimination and prevent it from happening again, then leadership needs to know that when they make their decision. And Canada cannot be blackmailing chiefs by saying, you either take this deal or you get nothing.
The Crown Indigenous Relations Minister defended his government's decision to keep its offer under wraps.
Suffice to say that I think we're, as a government, very committed to resolving this issue once and for all and ensuring that there's fairness.
The AFN ended meetings early today to hold discussions behind closed doors about child welfare reform. The AFN says it's planning a separate meeting for chiefs to discuss and vote on the proposed deal. A special assembly is being organized to take place in Winnipeg this fall. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Montreal.
The marquee game for the CFL this week has the Saskatchewan Roughriders heading to Vancouver to take on the Lions in an early season battle for first in the West Division. It's contrasting styles on how both teams got here. The Riders using a stifling defense to guide them to a 4-0 record, while the Lions are using a high-octane offense for their 4-1 mark. That offense is led by quarterback Vernon Adams, who has nothing but respect from the Riders.
VA's on it. He's on it right now, and kudos to him. Just watching him throughout his career, and certainly the time he's spent over there with Jordan Maximic. They're doing a great job right now, through the air, obviously, but even the run game's strong. So,
and I watched him in college when I was at Ole Miss, and I was at Michigan as well. Followed his career throughout his college days up to his pro days. I was with him in Montreal as well when I first came up here the second portion of the 2020 year, or the 2021 year. So had an opportunity to be in the room with him, see how he worked. So got a lot of respect for him.
The first place showdown is set for Saturday night at BC Place in Vancouver. The next time the Riders are back at home, it will be Friday, July 19th, as they host the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Another scorcher out there today, as we told you. A great day to be outside near the water or inside staying cool. Now, like we mentioned earlier in the show, the temperatures are not going down anytime soon. Tyreek Reed will be back with the full weather forecast after the break. Stick around, everybody.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac, proud partner of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Welcome back, everybody. Tyreek Reed is now in with the weather. Isn't it funny when you get weather like this, it's either a real love or a real hate?
Exactly, Dan. I don't think there's any in between when you're getting weather like this. We're still pushing through these heat warnings, and we're really seeing that through a large part of the province, in the north to the west, down to the southeast. This is where we aren't seeing these heat warnings, but of course, no matter where you are, you're still feeling that heat. And of course, we can't talk about the weather that we've been getting this week without talking about all of these air quality statements and advisories. Our friends in the Churchill region under an air quality advisory right now. So of course, we're gonna wanna keep an eye out for the air quality index, health index. Right now, Environment Canada has issued an air quality health index of 8 out of 10 for our friends in Buffalo Narrows, which means, there's a high health risk there. So over there, we're going to want to stay inside, keep those windows closed as much as possible because those smoky conditions are really causing a health risk throughout most of the province. Now, let's take a look at these temperatures that we keep talking about. Right now, we're seeing temperatures in the high 20s up in the north where we're seeing those heat warnings. As we go down south, we're still seeing those temperatures in the high 20s. And of course, to the west, that's also under that heat warning, seeing temperatures in the 30s for our friends in Maple Creek. And let's take a look at our Humidex board because no matter where you are, it's really feeling like the low to mid 30s because of the Humidex. So it's a hot day. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, it's going to be hot for the days to come. We're not done with it just yet, but we could see some relief as we head into the weekend. Now, we didn't have to worry about any precipitation today, but as we head into tomorrow, we do have this push of precipitation through the north, and that's going to make its way down into the southeast. And as we head into Thursday, we have this another big push that's going to make its way east through the south and central parts of the province. And this does have potential to bring thunderstorms with it as well. So it's going to be a hot day on Wednesday and Thursday. And we're also going to be pushing through the rain. And those wind speeds will begin to pick back up as this system of precipitation starts to make its way back in. We're looking at gusts between 30 and 40, even 50 kilometers an hour in some areas in the north. Now let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Thursday looking like the hottest day here in Regina, feeling like 40 because of the humidity. And of course, we are going to be looking out for those showers that's making its way through. And on the weekend as well, we're seeing temperatures begin to get back to seasonal, but we're still going to be pushing through that rain. In Saskatoon as well, still going to be another few days of hot weather, feeling more like 40 on Thursday as well. And on Friday and Saturday, we could even start to see those thunderstorms move in. So there's a lot to think about here, Dan. We're really feeling everything right now.
Well, Tyreka, are you going to get a chance to enjoy this heat or even enjoy it at all?
I will be hiding away at home from the heat, Dan.
Sleeping under the air conditioner.
Of course.
I love it. Thanks, Tariq.
No problem.
We'll be back with more news after the break. Seven people have been arrested in connection with the sexual exploitation and trafficking of at least 2 teenage girls in Manitoba. RCMP in Portage La Prairie laid dozens of charges following searches at 10 homes in the last few months. As Rosanna Hempel reports, police believe there are more victims.
The investigation began in early February with a tip to RCMP in Portage La Prairie. A girl had been seen around town with older men. It's that tip, police say, led officers to arrest 7 people between February and June and lay 65 charges.
This was a fairly organized operation where the suspects used multiple platforms with the deliberate intent to exploit youths. Our investigators believe there are more survivors.
Inspector Sean Pike with Major Crimes says officers found the girl and another 15-year-old girl who'd also been sexually exploited in the city. The crimes are alleged to have happened between June and December of last year. Mounties allege they were both befriended by a woman in person and over social media who invited them to hang out with her friends. RCMP say the girls were offered drugs and money in exchange for sexual acts.
On many occasions, the youth were locked in the location by the adult female, who remained throughout the entire interaction. These youths were not able to escape.
The woman has been charged with multiple counts of child luring and trafficking. 6 men face charges ranging from making child pornography to sexual assault. Portage La Prairie Mayor Sherilyn Knox says it's devastating and a wake-up call for the city and its organizations.
This is probably the hardest day I've had as mayor, to be thinking that children in our community were harmed this way and knowing that there could be more.
Police say they are looking to identify a third girl who they say is another victim. She's believed to be about 13 or 14 years old. The Canadian Centre for Child Protection is concerned how many victims may be involved. Stephen Sauer directs the organization's tip line.
Certainly,
there are more males that we see coming through the tip line that are reported, but I do know that, we are seeing an increase in females who are, anecdotally, who are involved in these types of cases.
Mounties say the suspects all know each other. Meanwhile, advocates and police warn cases like these are happening everywhere. They urge you to watch out for the red flags, including sudden changes in a young person's behavior. Rosanna Hempel, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Tyreek Reed is back with another look at a very hot week. Just how hot is it looking? Sorry.
Oh, very hot tonight, Dan. Yes, so tonight we're seeing lows at around 20 degrees in Regina. That's close to what daytime high should be. As we wake up tomorrow morning, we're still going to be seeing temperatures around 20 degrees, lots of sunshine, but then heading into the afternoon, that's when we're going to start to hit closer to 30, feeling more like 30 with the humidex. And of course, in Saskatoon as well, seeing lows at around 19 degrees today. Lots of clear skies. Waking up tomorrow morning to a lot of clear skies as well, with temperatures around 20 degrees. But then heading into the afternoon, that's when we got to start to worry about that heat. It's going to get hot, Dan.
Thanks, Tariq.
No problem.
A campaign to get Taylor Swift back to Saskatchewan has taken off. It's been more than 10 years since she performed in our province, but a dedicated group of fans and some invested municipal politicians are hoping to tempt her back. Kate McGilvery reports.
My name is Taylor, and welcome to the Eras Tour.
As the Eras Tour wows audiences around the world, a host on a Regina music station started by asking a simple question. What would it take to bring Taylor Swift back to Saskatchewan? The Back to Saskatch movement was born, and before long, Swift Current answered the call.
Maybe even we could do like a temporary citywide rebrand. Welcome to Taylor Swift Current.
For Miss Swift, I know she's in the middle of her Eras tour right now, and I can't think of a better place when her tour winds down to just come and kick back and relax.
Regina has jumped on it as well.
Let's show our Swiftie spirit and come up with an idea that is just as great. Saskatoon, we kind of want you in on this too.
Saskatoon is willing to get in on it. The mayor says he's considering renaming Taylor Street Taylor Swift Street. This mother-daughter duo on their way through Saskatoon hope it's enough to convince her.
Oh yes, please come to Saskatchewan. There's so many fans. There's so many fans around, and I think it would make like everybody's life, all of Swifties' life. You could come.
We love Taylor Swift.
Yes.
She's an amazing human being. We love her.
Biggest role model.
It's been 15 years since Taylor performed in Saskatchewan, 13 since she even visited. But there is some indication she actually likes it here. There were tweets where Taylor said that Saskatoon rocks and suggested the short form Saskatch. And an appearance on Oprah where she waxed poetic about Saskatchewan's antique stores.
The people you meet in there are so cool.
Yeah.
They have great stories, and I bought a lot of furniture in like Saskatchewan, Canada.
The Back to Saskatch campaign continues to pick up steam. Last weekend, there was an attempt to make the world's biggest friendship bracelet. This weekend, fans will try to hold the world's biggest Taylor Swift dance party. There's even a corn maze tribute outside of Regina. At Cedar Creek Gardens, Taylor Crasweller spelled out the hashtag in corn plants.
This movement, it's gone kind of province-wide, so, if we can get everyone on board and we can make these big grand gestures, hopefully Taylor can see it.
If she does, there's a chance she might be moved to make Saskatchewan fans' wildest dreams come true.
You're making me feel excellent right now.
Kate McGilvery, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Pretty sure there's a few dates at Mosaic Stadium available for Taylor Swift. And that's it for us tonight. See you again tomorrow at 6.